Hi guys, I hope you're having a good day. Today I want to talk about utilizing art in a creative sense, in a coping skill manner, in a healing sense, however you want to put it. So I've talked a little bit about wanting this page to be that, right? Wanting this page to have an opportunity for us to really find creative means and community in that creative means, and then utilize it in an actionable way of healing. And there are so many ways for that to occur, and I don't know that I have given a very good example of that. And so if you're not a creative person or you're not sure what I mean, it's going to be difficult for that to resonate. If you are a very creative person, I think you probably would. But sometimes we're creative people without even realizing we're creative people. So that's what I want to talk about today. Are you with me? Okay, very good. So I'm going to just use myself as an example because that is the easiest thing to do. I have always struggled to feel my feelings. I get very overwhelmed. And I feel things very, very deeply. I'm very highly sensitive. And I have struggled to use that word for myself for a very long time. That word used to be very, very triggering for me. And I was told that a lot growing up, and it was used in a very negative connotation. And I didn't know why I felt things so deeply, and I didn't know why things bothered me so much, and I didn't understand why it didn't bother other people. And I didn't know how to do something with all of this restlessness that I had inside of me. And I'm learning in my adult life that there are reasons why that is, but it's also just because it is who I am. And ultimately for me, what happens is that I will start to feel overwhelmed. I don't necessarily realize that I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm just knowing that I'm not operating at full capacity. I'm not at 100%, and I know it, but I think I'm okay. I'm pretty functionable. Usually I think I'm at a 60 or a 70, and then something might happen and I might get a little agitated, or somebody might do something that disappoints me, and all of a sudden I have oh, okay, that's why I didn't feel very good earlier, because I already wasn't feeling good. Now this has happened. I'm recognizing that I'm having a lot of underlying emotions that just were not at the surface yet, so I wasn't able to access them. I wasn't able to process them. So with that being said, healing happens for me and for lots of other people in kind of a spectrum of ways, right? There are times that we are really, 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 really struggling with something that we're healing from. And there are times that it's there, right? And we know that it's there, but it's okay. It's okay for that to be there, and we're pretty functionable throughout the day. So depending on how I am feeling and what moment I am able to conceptualize how I'm functioning with this moment that I'm feeling, I will pick something to be an outlet for me, right? So essentially this concept is saying, for kiddos, in therapy, I used to do this temperature scale. So we have 0 down here and 100 up here. How well are we feeling? How agitated are we from 0 to 100? And what are the signs of us being agitated? And what can I do at each of these points to help me out, right? So at these base levels, I'm starting to get agitated. Maybe I'm starting to get restless. Maybe I start picking on my brother. Maybe I start, mom, right? I'm doing these little things. What can I do at each of these points? If I'm really restless, maybe I can go move my body, do jumping jacks, skip. If I'm hanging on mom, blah, 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 I really just need her attention, maybe I can ask her for some quality time. Can you spend 5 minutes with me, right? So if we take that kind of ideology and switch it into a creative framework, right? This is interesting. I'm deciding how I want to go about the next part of our conversation. This kind of format or ideology is kind of interesting because it's really fluid in my brain. I don't think it's very fluid for other people all of the time because I think creativity is such an expansive concept, and a lot of people look at it in a very narrowed format. So when I talk about creativity, I genuinely mean anything that is creative, anything that you utilize imagination and curiosity and engagement and play and creativity to do something with, right? So when I talk about that, I mean graphic design, I mean cooking, I mean choreographing, I mean dance, I mean art, I mean music, I mean jewelry making, I mean pottery, I mean flower arrangements, I mean cookie decorating, I mean home interior designing, collaging, there are 1,000 things. I could go on. But every person, in my belief, has the opportunity to be creative. It might just not look like what you think it looks like. So when somebody says art therapy, I don't do art. I can't draw anything. Every people that I draw look like two sticks. Like, I hear that so much. Like, I'd probably be rich, honestly, for how many times that I've heard that. And that's fine, right? Not all of us are people who are born to draw. Not all of us are people who enjoy drawing, and that's more than fine. But there are multiple ways for you to be creative and not ever touch hands on drawing. Ever. Okay? So, with that being said, if we take again our temperature, and we use myself as an example, I will kind of assign and have realized for myself that there are certain mediums or media, creative media, that I choose to engage with at certain capacities of my functioning, of how much I'm struggling or dealing with something. So for me, it's easier for me to work backwards. When I am really, really, really struggling with a very big feeling, or I am really sitting inside just kind of a cocoon of what is happening in my life right now, and not being able to process it very well, I often turn to writing. So usually it's poetry, and I kind of have joked and laughed to several of my friends that, like, that is when you know I'm not okay. Like, if I am writing poetry, things are not good, okay? I am really, 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 really struggling, and I'm trying to grapple at what I can utilize in order to understand my experience. And for me, that's words. Right? Because words are the easiest thing for me to explain my experience in my narrative and still be feeling what I'm feeling. I mentioned earlier, I have a tendency to intellectualize my problems. Intellectualize means that you stick it in your brain and it stays there. You're thinking about it, you're thinking about it, you're thinking about it. Maybe you're creating an explanation for it. Maybe you are reworking why you feel the way that you feel. Maybe you are trying to problem solve a solution. It doesn't matter what it is. Any way that you're intellectualizing is still a form of an avoiding the actual feeling of your emotional response, like actually sitting with your emotional response and then processing it out. So for me, poetry is a good blend of being able to still have this capacity that I can sit here and think about it and utilize words, but I still have to feel it because I still have to describe that experience, and it's still being felt. And sitting with me and being processed and then being released out of me into something, into a poem, into a story, into a voice recording on my phone, into a video, like a little journal vlog situation. And that's my form of journaling, because I cannot journal for the life of me. I'm too concerned about what I am saying and if somebody's going to read it and if I'm saying it the correct way. And a lot of times my feelings and my thoughts move too fast for me to write it all down in a journal format. And sometimes they move too fast for me to do poetry. So it is better for me to be able to create a poem where I get to choose what words I'm using to accurately and appropriately describe the feeling and the experience that I'm having at that moment. It's short, it's little, and I just move on. I sit with it, I feel it. Sometimes I'm feeling it for a long time because I struggle to identify with what I'm feeling. That's called alexithymia, in case you're worried and wondered about that. And then I do the poem and then I go on. There are other ways and other things that I choose to do or choose to utilize. And those things are, again, like I said, usually on like a lower level for me. There are times when I'm in kind of just a contemplative state. I'm reflecting, I'm not feeling super great, I can tell something's on my mind, but I'm still pretty functionable. And so I turn to drawing. I just draw. Sometimes I'll find a picture. Sometimes I'll pull out a drawing that I've already started and just kind of keep working on it. But it's a good way for me to be active, to keep my mind from running in circles, truthfully. I'm using my body, and I'm still engaging in kind of a almost like a self-soothing technique. I'm engaging in a consistent, repetitive motion. So my body is moving while it's thinking and processing those things. And so it's not staying stuck. It's able to release. There are other times where I'm kind of halfway. I'm in this little mid zone, and I'm too restless to be able to sit there and just draw. It just is not going to work. And I'm too worked up in the emotional response to be able to really feel the feeling. I know it's there, it's blaring at me, but it's too loud for me to engage with it directly. It's almost like when kiddos parallel play. Sometimes it is overwhelming for a kiddo to engage with head-on direct conversation with another kiddo that they don't know, right? So in the beginning, they'll kind of come in, they might wave hi, hello, and then they're just going to play side by side for quite a while, and then they'll start engaging, right? So for me, this is kind of this mid-zone of that thermometer. I'm not able to just sit here and kind of draw and be lightly reflecting on it. It's gotten a little bit higher than that, and truthfully, it's probably a couple steps up, right? And it's saying okay, I'm here. Hello, Emily, you are anxious. Hello, Emily, you are angry. Hello, Emily, this really rubbed you the wrong way. Do you know why? Most of the time I don't know why yet, but it's talking to me, right? And I'm like, whoa, okay, you're here. I get it, you're here. Just give me a second, okay? Well, we can be in the same room together for a while. And so when I am feeling that kind of capacity, it's disrupting my functioning pretty heavily. I need to engage in something. So when I am feeling that way, I often will go to tactile forms of creativity and art. Things that I am able to apply pressure, things that I am able to physically move my body even more, things that demand a little bit of force. So ideally, I don't have access to this anymore, but ideally for me, that would be pottery. I can manipulate the clay, right? I can put force into it. I can still reflect, but I'm still using enough engagement and again, that like physical force and manipulation that I am able to focus a bit better and engage with it a little bit more truly. If I don't have access to that, because I don't, oftentimes I will engage in mixed media type things. So that might be collaging. So I'm cutting up paper and gluing things together. That might be like little mini sculpting of clay. That might be, right now I'm getting into stained glass. So it might be doing that, cutting glass apart. It might be, I really have a thing for gold foil. I love gold foil. So it might be gold foiling something. You take little like golden papers and you have to apply glue and put them on and brush it off. So it's really me engaging in kind of like a physical act, right? And likewise, you as a person are going to have your own set of things that are creative for you, right? You are going to have your own set of what triggers you, what the scale looks like to you. And honestly, I'm sure after hearing me describe the way that I kind of operationalize this and like put this into a concept and context for you, I'm sure that if you reflect, you'll think about it for yourself and say, yeah, I mean, I guess when I am feeling a little bit this way, I'll start journaling. Or yes, I guess when I do start feeling a little bit more, then I'll go and talk to somebody about it, right? Or maybe it's dance. Like I have a friend who's done dance since she was really, really, really young. And for her, that's an outlet, right? It just really depends on what creativity looks like to you. But what's great about creativity, and the reason why I think it's such a necessary component to start talking about in healing, is that a lot of the time it really forces some kind of interaction with that mind and body experience. So you can't stay in your safe zone in your head, right? Or you can't stay in just your body and say, okay, well, I'm still functioning, so I'm just going to keep going. What happens is that as you are being able to think and process and then also do that act of doing together, is you are creating an opportunity for catharsis to happen, for a release to occur, for you to be able to process and feel that experience, and then for it to leave your body, which is the complete cycle of healing, of a healing act. And not that that means that you're going to do the one thing and you're going to be completely healed from it. But you have a better chance, in my opinion, to be able to complete the cycle of that particular emotional response you have, rather than having that emotional response, not completely feeling it, thinking it, processing it, and releasing it, and having it, or some part of it, be partialized and built up in resentment inside of you, in your body. Because if you don't release it and process it, and then release it, your body is going to store it. And it is going to say, this is a response, this is a feeling, this is a impact, this is an injury, whether that's emotional, mental, physical, spiritual, whatever it is, that has not been fully addressed. Your body, your being, organizes things like a computer. Your brain records things like a computer. And if you are not able to delete the file and then click, yes, I want to delete, and then click, yes, I understand that me deleting it means I am permanently deleting it. And yes, it is okay for me to permanently delete it and not have access to it anymore. If you do not click all 4 of those, right, it doesn't delete, right? And it's still there? Yeah. So, this is kind of a good little example a good conversation to be able to describe what I mean about utilizing creative actions, creative media, whatever, to be able to engage in healing. Both in this aspect of like coping, but then also like in general healing, like this whole healing process of like being able to engage in this media in order to complete the actual process of catharsis, of release. Excuse me. I think that that's all I have for this conversation. I always feel like I'm missing something because there's just so much to say about every little thing, and I could talk for hours, literally. So if you have any questions or if you have any thoughts, I'd definitely be interested to hear them, and drop them below. Okay, bye.